I'm your host, BrightLearn, and today we're tackling a subject that should have every single one of us on high alert: the terrifying vulnerability of America's power grid. Yes, you heard me right. Our power grid is in serious trouble, and it's time we all paid attention. Now, I recently had the privilege of speaking with David Tice, the producer of the eye-opening documentary Grid Down, Power Up. This film is a must-watch, featuring none other than Dennis Quaid as the narrator, and it's available right now on YouTube. If you haven't seen it yet, I highly recommend you do. The film is a wake-up call, highlighting 4 major threats to our power grid: physical attacks, cyber attacks, EMP attacks, and geomagnetic disturbances. But why should you care? Well, let me paint you a picture. Imagine a world without electricity. No Facebook, no Snapchat, no YouTube. In fact, during this interview, several major platforms experienced outages. Coincidence? Maybe. But it sure drives the point home. According to the EMP Commission, which operated for 17 years under the direction of Congress, if our power grid were to go down for 9 months or more, up to 90% of Americans could die. Let that sink in for a moment. 90%. That's a staggering number, especially when you consider that the deadliest disaster in American history, the Galveston hurricane in the 1910s, claimed around 12,000 lives. David and his team are on a mission to alert America to these dangers. They've created a platform where viewers can easily contact their state and federal legislators, governors, and even utility board members to demand action. This isn't just a movie, it's the start of a movement, and they need your help to spread the word. Now you might be wondering, how much would it cost to protect our power grid? According to David, it's about $50 billion for EMP and geomagnetic disturbance protection. That might sound like a lot, but consider this. The US government recently debated sending $60 billion to Ukraine, and that's just one of many international expenditures. Why can't we invest in our own infrastructure and resilience? The good news is this is a solvable problem. There are technologies available, like zero ground blockers, that can protect against geomagnetic disturbances. The problem isn't a lack of solutions, it's a lack of political will and bureaucratic inefficiency. As David points out, we've passed legislation like the Critical Infrastructure Protection Act and executive orders under the Trump administration, but these have largely been ignored by the agencies responsible for implementation. The consequences of inaction are dire. During the winter of 2021, Texas nearly lost its power grid due to cold weather. This was a wake-up call, but it seems like we've hit the snooze button. We've seen cyber attacks on critical infrastructure, like the recent AT&T outage and the attack on a pharmaceutical supply company. These events highlight just how unprepared we are. Let's talk about the human cost. If the grid goes down, cities will stop functioning. Water supplies will be cut off, sewage systems will fail, and diseases like cholera will run rampant. Violence will erupt as people fight for basic necessities. It's a grim picture, but it's one we can avoid if we act now. Now you might be thinking, what about solar power? Well, most solar systems are grid-tied, meaning they won't work if the grid goes down. Off-grid systems are rare and expensive, and the battery technology isn't quite there yet. But there are options. Companies like RU Solar can help you transition to a more resilient energy solution, though it won't be cheap. David emphasizes the need for a Manhattan Project level of effort to address this issue. We need a grid czar, someone who can cut through the bureaucracy and get things done. We need to overcome regulatory capture and amend the Federal Power Act for better regulation. As we look to the future, it's clear that we need to rethink our approach to energy. We need to be more self-sufficient and less reliant on a centralized grid. This means investing in renewable energy, improving battery technology, and creating a more resilient infrastructure. In closing, I want to remind you that this is a problem we can solve. It will take effort, resources, and a collective will to act. But the alternative is unthinkable. We owe it to ourselves, our children, and future generations to take this threat seriously and demand action. So, watch the film, share it with your friends, and contact your legislators. Let's make this a priority and ensure that we never face the catastrophic consequences of a grid failure. Thank you for tuning in to BrightLearn. Don't forget to subscribe and share this episode with everyone you know. Together, we can make a difference. Stay safe, stay informed, and let's power up, not grid down. God bless you all.
This has been a BrightLearn.ai summary of an interview between David Tice and Mike Adams on March 6, 2024. The full interview is available at brighteon.com, where you can also find podcasts and special reports by Mike Adams and other creators. Visit naturalnews.com for full editorial coverage of this interview and breaking news on critical stories that will keep you informed and aware of what's really going on.